Did you know something new is invented every 10 minutes? Join us as we speak to the innovators reinventing our world here on planet Earth and far, far beyond. Welcome to GTWN Now, a podcast brought to you by the Global Telecom Women's Network and sponsored by CMS Global. GTWN Now introduces the movers and the makers at the cutting edge of technology who are committed to keeping us all connected. In each episode, we invite a leading expert to share her experience building life-changing inventions in places and spaces that don't yet exist, and the inspiration they must muster to tackle the impossible. We also ask our guests to share tips, tools, and strategies to reach your own moonshot. I'm your host, Rosali Gitau, founder of Bixi FinTech for Women and Global Telecom Women's Network International Board member. Welcome to GTWN Now. Today's episode will be hosted by GTWN board member Dora Petrani. Dora is an attorney and partner at CMS Law Firm, where she leads the Technology, Media, and Communications Group. A longtime telecommunications professional, Dora brings a wealth of experience, knowledge, and passion to the digital humanism conversation. Enjoy the show.
Thank you very much. So a warm welcome to everybody who is listening to this podcast, and I'm a very warm welcome to Alžbeta Krausová, who I regard as one of the most inspiring speakers when it comes to the future, the use of AI and what AI can do to humanity and beyond. So Alžbeta and I are happen to be here in the same room in Budapest, but actually Alžbeta is based out of Prague, and she is the example how you can actually balance your for and non-profit life in a single being, as she's the very successful CEO of her own organization, which is Respectful AI, but she is also the member of the Czech Academy of Sciences, and as such spearheading their efforts with respect to AI, and a very frequent advisor to the European Commission, to the OECD when it comes about AI and regulation. So Alžbeta, thank you for coming. We had a conference earlier today about AI, but that one was for businesses, and that one was more about the impact of AI on public sector, on private sector, on the administration and all the regulation around it. This time, actually, we will be speaking about something totally different, AI's impact on humanity. Let's crack on and let's talk about AI, and this time not about the impact on enterprises, but the impact on humanity. You had a brilliant speech a couple of months ago for us internally, and I just said that this needs to be shared with the public, with more broader audience, because it was fascinating. So what impact do new technologies have on the human beings? And all we talk about is Gen AI nowadays and how it sort of transformed it. Do you think that this technology actually has an impact on how the human brain works?
First of all, Dora, thank you so much for your kind invitation. I'm extremely happy to be here with you and everyone who's watching and listening. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you because our discussions tend to be highly inspiring. Now, when we are talking about new technologies, and especially artificial intelligence and generative AI in particular, we can see that actually these technologies do have impact on our brains. They do have impact on how we function in society, but they do have impact also on our internal lives, because with generative AI, anything is possible within seconds, within minutes, and we might tend to become lazy. There are already studies that are showing us that people tend to be afraid to do something because they tend to rely more on this external brain than on their own human brain. Of course, AI can be used to empower us if we work with it properly, if we really focus on what we want to know, if we brainstorm, if we get inspired. But also, AI can actually stop us in a way that we stop trusting our own instincts, our own brain. So this is kind of a dichotomy in our approaches, and the future will show us what us people will do with AI and with other technologies as well.
So I think it's very similar, like a convergence, and we saw a lot of examples in the past on technological convergence to a point when at some point we called it the C word, as it wasn't. We were no longer supposed to be talking about the C word, the convergence. When it came about the convergence, for example, of technologies like back then, broadband and mobile technology, and then fixed or wireless, and then you had the convergence of offers. So you had so many convergences in the past. But can you explain how convergence is relevant for AI? And actually, maybe giving us a couple of examples on convergence.
Of course. So the convergence, as you mentioned, it's a specific word that shows kind of intersecting technologies. If I should define what convergence is, it's using more types of technologies to achieve a certain purpose. What we are speaking mostly about are technologies such as nanotechnology, cognitive science, neuroscience, artificial intelligence as well, or some other technologies that can actually, like sensing technologies, specific sensors, EEG, that enables us, when combined, to achieve extraordinary results. Actually, what it causes is that if we take convergence, and now I will give some examples, we can actually use sensor technologies or implants to start controlling a human person. There is a special research. I don't know if you've heard about, well, you did. Yeah, Professor Kevin Warwick, who was called the first cyborg ever. It's a person who actually used both artificial intelligence and implants to control a robotic hand. His first project was Cyborg #1, when he only had RFID chip in his palm and he was opening the doors. But later on, he had, if you saw Matrix, there were plugs inside of the head. So he had a plug inside of his arm, and he was able to control a robotic arm. With technologies like AI that is actually translating electrical activity within our nervous systems, the scientists were able to create devices that actually, with help of a mind of a person, it was possible with implants to control a body of a monkey. So we even had like kind of interspecies interconnection. A person was able to switch off the center of the brain of the monkey and then move with its tail, or I am not sure if also with hand. So these are technologies that enable us to control a body. But the next level are brain-computer interfaces that actually enable us to peek into a human mind.
Oh, these are almost like we are in a science fiction movie at the moment, and it's not only the Matrix. Like a lot, I love science fiction, so a lot of movie titles are now coming through my mind. But when it comes to these brain-computer interfaces and to possibility to peeking into the human mind, can we currently also do these brain-computer interfaces? And have you ever seen a real-time impact of such interfaces?
Yes. So maybe first I will explain a bit what a brain-computer interface is. Then I will tell you that I tried brain-computer interface on myself. And then I will say something about examples, what we are currently able to do. So brain-computer interface works on a principle that we monitor the brain activity with the help of different technologies.
It's almost like an EEG, isn't it? When you
Yes.
set up the crown and then that's it. They can monitor how you sleep. They can see whether you have a certain condition or not. So it's already existent. So what's then the difference?
Exactly. It's EEG is the most used technology for this purpose because it's very cheap. It's not that precise, like for instance fMRI, but those are technologies that are hard to use in normal life conditions. So when we take the EEG and we convert it with AI, it's the AI that actually enables us to translate the electrical activity, to see the signals and make sense out of them. We do have certain brain waves in our brain. We do have, or when we are thinking about something, our brain has a specific type of brain activity. Look at it as if you would make a
Like the
photograph.
positive thoughts and the negative thoughts, or the images and text.
Let's say some centers of the brain just light up and are more have more electric activity. Some centers of speech might light up, etc., etc.
Emotional center might light up.
Also, so the thing is that we have had already many scans of brains, and we do have enough data. So the scientists were able to create specific applications. By the way, I tried this brain-computer interfaces on myself. It was many years back, I think 2009, 2010, when I tried to learn how to concentrate better. And I was playing a computer game just by my mind. And the purpose, it was calibrated so I would set up one of my brain waves, like learn how to control it and not to be that tired. It was very interesting. But what we can do now, the applications, they were shocking. Few years ago, it was real science fiction, especially in the area of law. Like, why would you consider any legal questions related that it's science fiction? But then one of the first cases was that scientists were able to take out a pin out of your brain, meaning they gave you a task to remember 4 numbers. It was not your real pin, and then they were flashing some lights and they were flashing some numbers, and by the reaction of your brain they were able to extract those numbers from your mind by analyzing how the brain works. We are currently able to transfer not idea, but an information from one brain to another by it's not only passive monitoring, but you can also influence the brain of a person. But the most shocking examples are dream recording, and also the ability of scientists to actually reconstruct what's happening in your brain. So it's possible to show your ideas in a format of videos. So you can really watch a screen and see what you are thinking, because by scanning appropriate, like what is your energetic print of electrical activity at a certain moment when you are thinking about some idea. So the scientists actually took videos from YouTube. They put a value of this electrical print and the video, and they are able to reconstruct those thoughts. Also, they are able to play the music, what you are playing in your mind, and record dreams.
When you say playing the music, what's going on in my mind, I love music. So for me, it would be like, I'm very happy that it's not the case. But that is actually quite, to me, it still seems like science fiction. And then my second thought was, oh my God, please don't try this at home. Audience, please don't try this. I think these are all like in controlled environment only. But or do you think that there are already certain use cases which people can try at home without harming themselves?
I hope without harming themselves they can do it.
Or harming others?
It's possible to buy I don't know if that's the right English expression, like off the counter EEG headsets. It's possible to buy headsets and to actually download some open source solutions already, and you can try this at home if you have a certain kind of, it's not for lay people, but if you do have a certain knowledge, you definitely are able to start playing with this technology. And there are people who have been experimenting even with implants that they are doing themselves. There is a movement for transhumanity where people are really playing with what they are able to do with their bodies, with their minds, trends like biohacking. So yes, everything is going this direction and people are not afraid to experiment.
At least some people are not afraid to experiment. But I see, so as lawyers, we are conditioned to see the pitfalls and to prepare for the worst and enjoying the peace around us. So when I listen to you, actually, all I see is like challenges here and pitfalls there. What are the more significant challenges down the road for this technology to actually be really widely used and used for a positive enhancement of humanity?
Well, it's still, there are so many questions because the technology is evolving. What I see as the greatest challenges when it comes to this technology, and I am now speaking not that much from technical perspective, but like, let's say, social perspective and the future use perspective. We do have problems, for instance, with distinguishing whether something in your head is a thought or intention, because this could be, like you use your mind to play out different scenarios, but intention is something different. And for instance, if the technology would be used for purposes that are now foreseen already and the society starts to perceive the risk of it, such as predicting your future behavior or predicting your capability.
Another movie is Minority Report.
Yes. So this is like distinguishing thought and intention, or actually reducing a person to a biological robot. When you say your biological structure, the structure of your brain will never allow you to be a good mathematician. Using this technology to lock you within a certain position, to actually say, this is your biology and you cannot do anything with that, and that's why we will not hire you. I heard of cases in the United States when the brain-computer interface is used in a job interview and testing future employees, whether they will be up to a certain task.
And that under the EU AI Act would be a prohibited use of AI, I'm afraid, isn't it? Or at least this would be very, very limited. And that leads me to, we are now sort of diving into ethical and legal questions a lot. And not only the EU AI Act, so what you were also telling about, like predicting someone's behavior as for criminal law purposes, that's also something which there is like a huge library of knowledge and pre-existing prohibitions for. So when it comes to ethical and legal questions, I think a lot of the issues and a lot of the use cases will have to face those. Where do you think ethical and legal questions will be most helpful in guiding what technology can do into a positive and reliable and safe way?
I will first react on the predicting the crime and prohibited practice and the EU AI Act, because I am not sure that this would really be a prohibited practice.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because it is possible to use certain technology to add to a human decision, then we are in the area of high risk. Deciding solely upon biology and the AI system making decision, this is prohibited. But when somebody says, okay, I will take the information from the AI system that actually told me you are not good in mathematics, but I put it in the context of something else, then we are in a high risk.
I refer to the first part of what you were saying, is that biometrics information used for predicting or judging someone's future and deciding as the state about your fate, that would be for me the prohibited zone. But you are very right. If you add a human element and then it's only part of the decision making, then it can shift to high risk, still very high risk, I would say. So still extremely risky.
What you pointed out here actually is a very good thing. We are in an area where we do have some guidelines, but we are still not sure what they will mean in practice.
Yeah.
We need to wait for the use case scenarios.
Yes, and we will also need to wait for the EU AI office to give us more guidance on that. And we talked this morning about the importance of secondary regulation. I will not repeat that. We will need I believe we will need not only secondary, but also maybe primary regulation with respect to that.
Right.
So back to the ethical and the legal questions.
When you spoke about the primary regulation, UNESCO is currently preparing a recommendation and a draft of new international agreement on regulation of neurotechnologies. Because what we see with regard to convergence of technologies and especially neurotechnologies and artificial intelligence is that we start to blur the borders between human mind and the exterior, like what is a human anymore? What if we add way too many implants? Or how about, and this is one of the ethical questions, we can use those technologies to improve our intelligence, to add new senses. Right now, it's possible to make a human to perceive infrared or ultraviolet light with help of sensors connected with his nervous system. Or there is another use case scenario of telepathy or even psychological presence of a person within some other environment. Imagine immersing someone in virtual reality and working directly with his or her brain.
I see super good uses like a second opinion doctor, not having to fly in, but being able to have on site in a very tricky surgery. I see also some very tricky and most likely dangerous scenarios for this.
Yes. Imagine surgeons practicing surgeries within a virtual reality as well. But then imagine how this could distort one's identity.
Yes.
If actually you stop perceiving what is reality and what is not, who you are, what is your identity, then it becomes a problem. There is scientific literature proposing that maybe we could one day connect our consciousness, our thinking on one platform when everyone will just connect with their mind and exchange ideas very quickly. But then you could, first of all, lose the sense of yourself, or you could understand others better. But we really don't know what it will do to a human mind. That's the first thing. And second is each of us is different and is working with their mind in a different way. So we can't really have a scientific experiment because everyone will be on a different level.
It's basically very similarly to any healthcare or life sciences experiments. That's again a very regulated industry. Yes. So you cannot just experiment with the human body. There are ways how to do it, how it starts with a controlled environment and then it's rolled out. Yes. phase by phase rather than with one go. So thankfully, there are already lots and lots of legal regulations that can set boundaries or the framework for technology. And technology, in my view, is always like miles ahead of the regulation. So this is why the ethical points are, in my view, extremely important as well. But you wanted to continue?
Yes, no, I just will add on you mentioning the regulation. The ethics is actually guiding the new regulatory attempts on the international level. And there is already literature suggesting new human rights when it comes to convergence of technologies. So there are 4 human rights related to this. The first one, if I remember well, is cognitive liberty, which means that one of the fundamental human rights should be that nobody should alter the way that you think and that you perceive. Then another right is right to mental privacy. We already have GDPR that applies, but on the international, the GDPR does not apply worldwide. This should be a worldwide convention. So the mental privacy means that nobody should
Temper my brain.
No. Peek and collect data from your mind. Another one is right to mental integrity, meaning that anyone should refrain from
tampering with my brain.
Exactly. But there is another one, and it's a right to psychological continuity, and a specific one, meaning no one should insert, for instance, false memories inside of your mind.
That's interesting.
Yes, because when we are able to extract thoughts in the shape of pictures, one day we will be able to actually insert them as well.
So the UNESCO is now working on these recommendations, yes, and we expect that this will be hopefully a global convention.
Yes, in the future.
Sounds very encouraging. So I see that actually our time is up, and I just wanted to ask any final messages to the audience. I'm very much looking forward to the positive use cases, and as an optimist, and as an optimist, I do think that in a controlled environment, by using the existing ethical and legal framework to what technology can do to us, hopefully we will find ways how to enhance humanity rather than destroy it.
Yes.
But in my view, actually, is the answers in us and how we use it. But I'm very much looking forward to your message to the audience.
I couldn't agree more. The purpose is the most important thing. Where are we putting our focus on? But before I would like to have one warning as within my message.
Please.
And that is, we must never reduce a human to a biological robot, because that is something that positive science can do and justify very well, speaking about, okay, we know how the brain works approximately, we can predict, we have the hard data. But there is limitation to scientific knowledge. That's why it's always evolving. And if we say that a human is a biological robot, it means we have nothing under our control. And that would be a very hard way to live. And I think it goes against everything I believe in. And I think many people believe in that we do have a free choice, and that we can actually focus our attention and choose our purpose. Also, I think we should refrain from adding illusion, meaning creating, inserting memories or creating a world that is actually not real, in the sense that we generate way too many automated pictures, and then we start to believe that, for instance, certain animals look in a certain way, not diverting from the truth. And I would say we need to question ourselves why are we doing all that? Are we doing it to enhance our knowledge and to deepen our understanding and to get like empower ourselves? Or are we doing it to control others? And we need to focus and push the first direction.
Well, thank you, Ashbeta. It's always like a wonderful ride having a chat with you, and I'm very happy that this time we are sharing this not only with a few people but hopefully with a wider audience. Thank you very much for joining us today for this podcast. Thank you very much for all of you listening in, and if you have any questions, please do contact us. I'm absolutely certain this is just the beginning of a wonderful ride on the waves of technology and AI and what the future brings us humans. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for your attention.
I want to thank our guest for joining today's episode of GTWN Now, and give a big thank you to our sponsors, CMS Global, for making this episode possible. Today's podcast will be available on our website, gtwn.org, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified when new episodes drop. I'm your host, Rosali Gitau, GTWN International Board Member, wishing you a week of wonder.